Hey guys, how's everyone doing? Time to make coffee. Baby fell asleep early, so I got on a little early. This is kind of cute, right? Fun, huh? Like, I love it. Like, obviously it doesn't work for every day because you can't wear overalls every day, but I don't know. I like it. As a college student, I will stay and support you. Good job with baby. Oh, thanks. So, Amanda, you need a catch up from yesterday, or do you want to just watch when you can, or do you want me to give you like an overview? I'm happy to give you an overview of yesterday's. Hey, Isabella, if you want. Sleepy Angel. Sleepy Angel. She's out like a light, you guys. She was so tired. I'm just popping in to say hi because I'm painting. Oh, what are you painting? Why am I wearing these early? I'm not even reading yet. I'm gonna give myself a headache. Quick synopsis. Okay, yeah. Christmas cards, that's amazing. Okay, so let me wait till the machine's done actually so you can actually hear me, but I will give you a quick synopsis. More or less, we just figured out that like the witches or some witch is what they know. We know it's Marina because we've seen it, you know, her blow the dust in her face, but what Connor knows now is somebody is controlling Alex. At least I think he thinks that. Because they saw her on the news. So they know she's in New York City and they have to go there. You know, the firefighters tried to investigate the disappearing bathroom. Absolutely, I'd love to have a Christmas card, Isabella. That would be amazing. I appreciate you thinking of me. The buzzing noise is my coffee machine. It's almost done. Just making coffee. It'll be done momentarily. Yeah, that's right, Isabella. The coffee will be done in 1 second. Just give it 2. It's gonna do it. It's gonna do it. I would love to have a Christmas card for you as well. You know what I will do with it? I will hang it up in my office. I have a little section where I'm hanging stuff from people in my office. Somebody made me a Rainbow Slime Girl trading card. I hung that up in my office. I had cards that were sent to me when this baby was born. And wait, Nikki, what did you say? What did Nikki say? Oh, it's Mina's restock day. Heck yeah. Go Mina, restock it. Heck yeah. Go Mina, restock your stuff. What? Alright, time for me to have a coffee. We love to see it. How's everyone doing today? Anyone doing anything interesting today? We're gonna go to the farmer's market after book club, of course, like we do every Saturday. I changed it up today. I'm wearing her in the overalls instead of in the ring sling today. Just because I felt like seeing if she'd sleep in it. And she did. She fell right asleep. Hey, Jillian. But now let's see if I can sit. Okay. Oh, yeah. It's actually pretty comfortable to sit in. Okay. Doing a bit of cleaning and Christmas decorating. That's amazing. Do you guys want to see our tree? It's not lit right now because it's day, but I can turn this around. Hold on 1 second. Hey, there's our tree. Hi, tree. She did love it in the video. But I wasn't sure if she'd sleep in it. You know what I mean? That's a little different than just like, there's certain carriers that she likes being in that she doesn't necessarily sleep in. But she's sleeping in this just fine, so. You guys over here so you're at the back of her head. There we go. That's better. Okay, that makes it easier. The overalls are cute, right? And they're like actually a baby carrier. Like I didn't just pop her in some random overalls. Like they're made for this, which is super cool because it means it has like a strong enough, you know, the clips are strong enough and it gets them in the right position where they're close enough to kiss and they're held, and it's great. It also comes with like drool pads for right here. I didn't put them on yet. Hey Jen, but it does have them. So when we're out and about and she likes to chew on things, I'll probably put those on. Obviously when she's sleeping, she's not chewing on anything, so you know. So I can get one more sip into this before I read. Oh, that's hot. Whoa, that was hotter than I expected for some reason. Okay. Let us begin. I should pin our book, huh? So everyone knows what we're reading. You know what I was thinking would be interesting? I was like, what if our book club, like, became like Land of Stories book fairy godmothers, and like we all said that like for Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever this year we would find someone to gift Land of Stories to who we think would like be bolstered by it in their life. You know what I mean? I was thinking about it. I was like, do I want to donate one to a school? Do I have a friend I want to give one? I've been thinking about that. I was like, how do I spread this love further? I don't know. Does that sound crazy? Am I a crazy person for thinking that? But I was like, if we all did it, like, what a world. Like, I don't know. I feel like if more stories like this were more around, like, I know they're popular, but they're not like if you go randomly talk to random people, they don't generally know about them unless they have kids. And I was like, maybe the world would be a better place if more people read the Land of Stories. I don't know. I've been thinking about that. We'll see. I'll think about it. Anyway, I am going to read the next chapter here. So let's go. Hey Anya, perfect timing. We just flipped open the book and we are on chapter 3. Chapter 3 is page 52 and it is called The Frog in the Mirror. The Frog in the Mirror. Froggy hadn't seen sunlight in weeks. All he had to look at day and night was the macabre sight of Marina's basement. The missing children from the Corner Kingdom and the Charming Kingdom lay peacefully still in their beds as the witch's horrible spell drained their life force. The children's youth and their vitality were magically transferred into potion bottles at the foot of their beds, which Marina sold to her customers in the shops upstairs. Luckily, the witch hadn't returned in days to switch out the bottles, giving her captives more time before they were completely drained. Hey Naisa, we're only like a paragraph in, so you didn't miss anything.
The longer Froggy was forced to witness this dark magic, the more it angered him. He desperately wanted to free the children from the witch's cruel spell, but he couldn't even free himself. No matter how hard he hit or kicked the plate of glass between them, it never budged. Unfortunately, neither he nor the children could be saved without magic powerful enough to counteract the witch's enchantments, and Froggy wasn't convinced that such magic existed anymore. If there had been any passing observers, Froggy would have appeared as a reflection without a source. Inside the mirror, he was completely alone in a pitch-black world, and the view of Marina's basement hovered in the air like windows without walls. Oh yeah, she's out, Kiana. She is out. Regardless of how far he traveled in each direction, there was absolutely nothing but darkness for miles around, and as he searched this strange world, he often wandered far from the basement. He'd often wander so far from the basement that it would shrink to just a speck of light behind him. And as much as it pained Froggy to watch the cursed children, he was afraid to lose sight of it completely. Marina's basement was his only source of stimulation, and he worried that he might go mad without it. Life inside the mirror was affecting his mind already enough. The longer he was imprisoned, the faster time went. A simple daydream could cost him a few hours if he wasn't careful, and if he fell asleep, a day or two would pass by before he would wake up. It also became increasingly difficult for him to remember where he was or how he'd gotten there, and most importantly and most concerningly, who he was. Each passing moment felt less and less like reality and more like a bad dream. "Get a grip on yourself," he said. "Your name is Charles Carlton Charming. You were born 25 years ago in the Charming Kingdom. You are the fourth son of King Chester and Queen Clarice. Your brothers' names are Chance, Chase, and Chandler. Your mother passed away when you were a boy, and your father died shortly thereafter. Your father died shortly after Chance married Cinderella. You have 2 nieces, their names are Hope and Ash, and you have always wanted a big family of your own." Froggy held his head and he paced in a circle as he recalled this information. Whenever he felt his sanity start to slip, he found that reciting facts was the quickest way to restore it, but it became harder every day. I know, it's so crazy. The sea names, it's too much. There's just too many. "When you were a teenager, you made the mistake of courting a witch named Marina. You discovered that she practiced dark magic, and so you called off the engagement. That enraged her so much that she cursed you and made you look like a frog. It made you ashamed of your appearance, and you lived in seclusion for years. You built a home underground where you read thousands of books and you drank lily pad tea. And then one day you found 12-year-old twins in the forest, and well, that changed your life forever." The memory of meeting Alex and Connor in the dwarf forest made Froggy laugh. Had he known then about all the trouble that they would get him into, he probably would have run screaming in the opposite direction, but now he was thankful for every second that he had to claim. "The twins are the ones who nicknamed you Froggy. Thanks to them, you're friends with Jack and Goldilocks, you're engaged to Red Riding Hood, and you were recently elected the king of the Center Kingdom. You managed to create a wonderful life despite Marina's spell. She couldn't stand how happy you became, and so she cursed you into this blasted mirror. But you can't let the magic get the best of you. You cannot let yourself fade away." Oh, actually, it's Grayson. Grayson just got out here. It's Grayson and Mabel's last day, so it was not Secret Husband. He's still sleeping. This wasn't Froggy's first exposure to mirror entrapment, so he knew what to expect. A few years earlier, he had witnessed the evil queen use the legendary wishing spell to free the man trapped in her magic mirror. Tragically, by the time the man was rescued, all his memories, his personal traits, and his physical features had melted away. Without a doubt, Froggy knew the same effects had begun creeping over him. "You can't let the darkness consume you," Froggy told himself. "There's just too much that you'll miss out on if you give in to it. You have to find a way out of this prison so that you can have a future with the people that you love. You must hold on to your identity so that you don't suffer the same fate as that man from the evil queen's magic mirror. You must fight this horrible curse so that Marina doesn't win." Froggy had no idea how to free himself from the mirror, but he knew that he would never find an answer by lingering around Marina's basement for eternity. So putting one webbed foot in front of the other, Froggy journeyed into the shadowy great world surrounding him until Marina's basement disappeared from sight. He wandered aimlessly through the darkness for what felt like hours, but he never found anything. It was so dark he couldn't see his hands or feet, let alone something he might collide with. With every step, he worried that he made a grave mistake by leaving the basement, and he feared that the oblivion here would drive him insane. "Oh, please let me find something that proves I'm not alone," he prayed aloud. "I just need something. I need anything that can guide me." Suddenly, a speck of light appeared in the distance ahead. It was only the size of a pinhole, but it seemed as bright as the sun against the darkness. The discovery filled Froggy's stomach with butterflies. Maybe he wasn't alone after all. He ran toward the light as fast as he could, and it grew into the shape of a tall rectangle. Perhaps it was a door. As Froggy neared the anomaly, he realized that it was another plate of glass, and his spirit sank. Had he walked through the darkness in a giant circle? Was the view of Marina's basement the only thing that existed in this dark world? Yes, that is Auntie Grayson. Sorry, I don't know why it filtered Nikki's comment asking if you were there. Yes. Froggy's heart skipped a beat when he noticed that the glass plate was much taller and wider than the one he was used to. Perhaps he had found something new. He peered into the glass and found not the missing children as expected, but a massive great hall with brick walls, green curtains, and silver chandeliers. "My word, it's a palace," Froggy exclaimed happily. "Wait a moment, I recognize this place. I've been here many times before. This is the entrance to the Northern Palace. It must be the view from another mirror." Good morning, Brittany. "The darkness somehow must connect the two mirrors." Suddenly, hundreds of other square and rectangular plates of glass appeared all around him, like floating windows. The bizarre phenomenon startled Froggy so much that he croaked. It had been a while since he'd been excited by anything, and he looked through the glass plates and saw into sitting rooms, drawing rooms, bedchambers, hallways, all locations that he recognized as well. "I can see through the mirrors into the Northern Palace," Froggy said. "This must be how the man in the Evil Queen's magic mirror was such a capable spy. He was using the darkness as a path between the mirrors." The discovery made Froggy's heart flutter. Perhaps the more he learned about the strange dark world, the closer he was to finding a way out of it. He desperately searched the mirror for someone to communicate with, but oddly he couldn't find a single soul in the palace. "Well, that's peculiar," he said. "I've visited Chandler and Snow White a number of times, and their home's never been this empty." Finally, Froggy peered through a small circular mirror and found a cook in the palace's kitchen. She looked exhausted, and she was placing a bottle of wine and 3 glasses on a serving tray. The cook must have felt Froggy's eyes, because she stopped what she was doing and she looked up before she could say anything. "Hello," he said happily. "Ah!" the cook screamed. She dropped the tray and the glasses shattered across the kitchen floor. Her reaction was so dramatic that it scared Froggy, and he impulsively ducked out of sight. He wasn't really surprised by the cook's response, although his appearance usually gave people a fright. He couldn't imagine how alarming it would be to see an enormous frog appear in a mirror when they weren't expecting it. "What is going on here?" a gruff voice yelled, and Froggy peeked through the mirror again to see a soldier storm into the kitchen. But he was unlike any man Froggy had ever seen. This soldier was 7 feet tall, and he had an unusually flat and square body. The number 3 was displayed on his upper right and lower left corners of his armor, and the 3 symbols that looked like clovers were set in a line down the middle. "Forgive me, sir," the cook pleaded. "I was fetching wine for the emperors, and I thought I saw something in the mirror." The soldier glanced at the mirror, but Froggy ducked out of sight before he could be spotted again. "Stupid woman," the soldier said. "Quit this foolishness and you get back to work. Any more nonsense and you'll be thrown in the dungeon." "Oh, yes, sir," the cook said with a bow. "Won't happen again, sir." The cook quickly swept up the mess and placed 3 new glasses and a bottle of wine on her tray, and then she hurried out of the kitchen. "I don't understand," Froggy thought aloud. "Who are the emperors? What happened to Chandler and Snow White? And where are all the servants and the guards who used to work here?" Froggy followed the cook from mirror to mirror as she traveled through the palace. She entered the spacious dining hall, and Froggy appeared in the mirror above a large fireplace. He had been inside the Northern Palace's dining hall many times before, but now he barely recognized it. All the portraits of the White Dynasty had been removed and replaced with paintings of a red-faced queen, an old hag with an eye patch, and a pirate with a hook. 3 people pictured in the paintings sat around the table enjoying a feast that could have fed hundreds. Froggy thought that they were unattractive in their portraits, but they were even more hideous in the flesh. The barbaric way that they scarfed down their food was equally unpleasant to witness. "Your wine, my emperors," the cook said, and bowed to the table. "It's about time," the queen yelled, and she hit the table with a clenched fist. "How dare you keep the emperors waiting? Do it again and you'll lose your head." "Oh, my deepest apologies," the cook said, and the cook trembled in the emperor's presence, could barely keep her hands still long enough to pour the wine into their glasses. When she was finished pouring, she bowed and she rushed out of the room. The pirate and the queen raised their glasses before taking the first sip, but the hag did not join them. "None for me," she growled. "I'm not much of a drinker." "To us, then," the pirate toasted. "May the 3 great emperors continue their mighty reign as the conquerors of this new world." "Hear, hear," the queen said. "And may our upcoming invasion go as smoothly as the last." The pirate and the queen clinked their glasses together and drank the wine in one gulp. The hag wasn't in the mood to celebrate and angrily threw a half-eaten lamb shank across the room. "How much longer will we have to wait?" she moaned. "It's been weeks since we've heard from that witch. How cruel of her to tease us with such a conquest and then force us to stay put. Our army is ready. Why can't we invade the world now?" "The new world," Froggy whispered to himself. "What on earth are they talking about?" "I agree," wrong voice. "I agree with the Westie," the queen said. "It's impossible to enjoy the luxuries of this world when we know that there are far greater pleasures in the other world. What is taking that witch so long? I'm starting to doubt her competence." The pirate chuckled at their annoyance and twirled his mustache with his hook. "Ladies, your eagerness to sabotaging your judgment," he said. "Remember what the witch said. As soon as the portal opens, she will lead the other witches into the new world first. Once they've weakened the new world's defenses, Once they have weakened the new world's defenses, she will send for us." That sentence is almost repeated twice. That's so weird. Anyway, whatever. "Then we'll charge through the portal and claim the new world for ourselves. It's a guaranteed victory if we stick to the plan. Patience is a virtue." "Patience is for peasants," the queen yelled. "Instant gratification is the only gratification of the powerful." "Allow me to finish my sentence," the pirate said. "Patience is a virtue that we will never need again. The final days leading up to this invasion will be the last time we wait or want for anything. As soon as we conquer the new world, we'll have a whole planet to ourselves and billions of slaves to serve us." "I will rule the land," the queen declared. "I will rule the skies," the hag said. "And I shall rule the seas," the pirate professed. "And that silly witch is in for a rude awakening if she actually believes we plan on sharing any of it with her." The emperors roared with devilish laughter like a pack of evil hyenas. Once the amusement wore off, the queen yawned so wide a watermelon could have fit inside her massive mouth. "Oh, universal domination is exhausting," she said. "We better start conserving our energy before the invasion." "Oh, what sweet dreams await us tonight," the pirate said with a sinister grin. The emperors stood from the table and left the dining hall for bed. Once the room was empty, Froggy started pacing behind the mirror, and 1,000 questions raced in his mind. Suddenly, Froggy spotted something moving out of the corner of his eye. Until this moment, he had thought the object in the middle of the dining table was a flickering candle, but after taking a closer look, he realized that it was a small and shimmering pixie stuck inside of a jar. The emperors had been using her as a centerpiece. Excuse me, young lady in the jar, Froggy asked. Can you hear me? The pixie looked around the dining room in a daze. Obviously she could hear just fine, but she could not see who was speaking to her. I'm over here, in the mirror, above the fireplace. The pixie looked up and stared at Froggy like he was the most unusual thing she had ever seen. How did you get in there? She asked. Well, I could ask you the same question, Froggy replied, and the pixie lowered her head sadly. I've been trapped in here for weeks, she said. At first, the captain was using me as a hostage. Now he's using me as a decoration. It's so degrading. No matter how hard I try, I can't escape. The jar is shut just too tight. Then you and I are kindred spirits, Froggy said. What's your name? Tinkerbell, the pixie said. The name sounded familiar, but Froggy couldn't remember where he had heard it before. Well, forgive me, but I'm rather confused, he said. Who were those awful people eating dinner, and where on earth did they come from? Oh, well, they're from all different places, Tinkerbell said. The Queen of Hearts is from a place called Wonderland. The Wicked Witch of the West is from the land of Oz. And Captain Hook and I were from Neverland. It suddenly clicked where Froggy had heard these names before. With every piece of knowledge he obtained, reality became much more difficult to comprehend. Wait a moment, he said in shock. I know those names. You're characters from the books in my library. The late fairy godmother gave me those stories as a gift. How on earth did you get into this world? I'm trying to figure out where I am, Tinkerbell said. One night I was flying through London with my friend Peter, and the next thing I knew, some guy called the Masked Man had been kidnapping me. The Masked Man? But how did he get into your story? Alphaba, this isn't you. Don't do it. Yeah, I know. It's funny. Well, he was using some kind of potion to travel into a bunch of stories, the pixie said. He was recruiting characters into something called the Literary Army. Oh, hello. Fall asleep early, wake up early. You can sleep a little longer. The Masked Man used me to enlist Captain Hook and the pirates from the Jolly Roger. Once he had the Wicked Witch, the Queen of Hearts, and their army of card soldiers, winkies, and flying monkeys, they invaded this world. All the kings and queens were dethroned and sentenced to be beheaded. Oh, honey. It's okay. It's okay. You're all right. I know it's weird to wake up early. You want out? You want out? Do you want out? Yeah? Do you want out? You want to go in your chair? Hi, baby. Hi, sweetheart. There's Boo. Say hi, Boo. You want to go in your chair? Here. Boo, boo, boo. Foot in. Whoop. There you go. Is that better? Yeah, okay. We're a happy girl now. Are we a happy girl now? Okay. All better? Yeah, all better. Okay. Mommy will have a sip of coffee then. Hi, angel face. Who's my angel? You two feel that way when you wake up, yeah, for sure. Hey, Chloe, long time no see. And hey, Tiffany, I know I owe you a responded email and those slimes. I'm going to work on that today.
Hi, Frogface.
Where was I? Froggy gulped, fearing the worst for his family. And what happened to the royal families? Did they lose their heads? Nice, I cannot hear without Braver for it. Yeah, right, for sure. No, luckily they got away, Tinkerbell said. The Queen, the Captain, and the Wicked Witch blamed the Masked Man for their escape, and they were so angry that they dropped him from the sky. Do they know where the royal families went? Nobody does, Tinkerbell said. After the Masked Man was killed, the witch approached the emperors and offered to conquer the new world, one much bigger than this world. They've been so excited about it, they stopped looking for the royal families. The witch and the new world are all that they can talk about. Did this witch or this new world have a name? I think they mentioned it once or twice, the pixie said and struggled to recall it. I believe the witch's name was Morgana. No, it was Marina. And the world that she was planning to invade didn't have a name, but she called it the other world. Froggy went pale green and felt sick to his stomach. His escape from the mirror was going to have to wait. Clearly, there were much bigger problems at stake. Oh dear, he gasped. The witches and the literary army are going to invade the twins' world. I have to find Alex and Connor, and I have to warn them. Dun dun dun. Chapter 4. I think we're gonna like chapter 4. Chapter 4 is called A Subconscious Surprise. It's page 69. Chapter 4. You ready for this, honey? We're getting to go see some of our favorite characters in this chapter, I think. You ready? Are you ready? You look ready. Are you smiling, my beautiful girl? You are ready, yeah. Okay. Arthur was having the most interesting dream. He started as a small ant crawling on the ground. Blades of grass towered over him like trees, and patches of dirt stretching into the horizon like enormous canyons. It was a very unique perspective, but Arthur figured that he wouldn't get very far at an ant's pace. So the future King of England grew long legs and began hopping around the lawn as a grasshopper. He landed on the roots of an evergreen tree and marveled at all the branches stretching into the air. Arthur wanted to climb the branches, but he knew it was an ambitious journey to make as a grasshopper, so he grew 4 claws and a furry tail and scurried up the tree as a squirrel. Once he reached the very top of the tree, Arthur saw and stared in awe into the fluffy clouds in the sky. He desperately wanted to fly through the clouds above, so his tiny arms grew into a pair of magnificent wings, and he soared through the sky like an eagle. Without a doubt, Arthur's dream had been inspired by Merlin's theatrical teaching methods. Recently, the wizard had been transforming the young squire into a variety of creatures to teach him lessons about greatness and gratitude. Did you boop Boo's nose? Get him. Get that nose. Oppression is a sport for the small-minded. Empathy is the path to true power, Merlin lectured. A great leader respects all walks of life, otherwise life will walk all over them. Ain't that the truth? Mother Goose agreed. It's just like I told my friends during the Boston Tea Party. Tyranny is a revolution's welcome mat. Arthur was reminded of his elders' wise words as he flew above the land that they were training him to rule one day. The flight made him very thirsty, and he descended toward a small lake. As soon as his claws touched the ground, they transformed into hooves, and Arthur galloped the rest of the way to water as a horse. When he arrived at the lake, Arthur found a young woman standing on the shore, alone. She wore a white dress and had long strawberry blonde hair, and stood with her back facing him. Arthur transformed back into his human self upon seeing this young woman, and at first he worried that she might be one of the mists of Avalon that Merlin always warned him about, but there was something familiar about her. Eventually, the young woman heard him approaching and turned around. "Alex," Arthur said with a big smile, "it is so good to see you." "Arthur," she said, "is that you?" Alex was much more surprised to see him than he was to see her. In fact, Arthur wasn't rattled in the slightest. Alex made regular appearances in his dreams. "Of course it's me," Arthur said. "Who else would it be?" Then Alex looked around the lake completely disoriented. She seemed to be afraid of her surroundings. "Where am I?" "You're in my dream," Arthur said. "I know it's a dream because it's the only place I get to see you. And now that I know I'm dreaming, I can imagine I'll be waking up soon." But whenever Arthur realized he was dreaming, he immediately returned to consciousness. He could feel his mind's clarity returning by the second, but oddly, this time he didn't wake up. Oh, I know, yeah, they're really cool. They're supposed to be overalls. It's fun, right? "I must be more tired than I thought," he said. "I'm grateful for every extra second I get to spend with you, even if it isn't the real you." For the first time, Arthur noticed that Alex looked very different than she normally did when he dreamed about her. Her face was paler, her eyes were red like she'd been crying, and she blinked frantically like something deeply troubling was on her mind. "This is so strange," she said. "I thought this was my dream, but maybe I've stumbled into your dream?" "So I'm dreaming of you dreaming of me?" Arthur asked. "Well, I'm afraid to look up what this means in Merlin's dream dictionary." No, I mean, we're both asleep," Alex said. "Just a minute ago I was dreaming of my hometown, and then suddenly I found myself at this lake. I think that we're communicating in our sleep." "So it's really you?" Arthur asked softly. "Yeah," she said. It's really me. Arthur didn't know which possibility was more overwhelming, that he and Alex were connecting subconsciously, or that he was standing in front of the real Alex and not a figment of his imagination. But wait, how is this possible? I don't know, Alex said, struggling to think of an explanation. When my brother and I were little kids, we used to see each other in our dreams all the time, and we would wake up the next day and recite everything we had done and we had seen. No one believed us, so we stopped mentioning it. We just figured that it was a twin thing that people didn't understand. I was hoping it still worked, and I was trying to contact him now, but it looks like my dreams led me to yours. The two shared a small but very telling smile. If this is real, it's no mystery why it's happening, Arthur said. We probably spend so much time thinking about each other that our subconscious minds are trying to tell us something. Arthur, please don't start that again. It was hard enough to leave you the first time, Alex said. We both agreed that living separate lives was the responsible thing to do. You have a destiny to fill that you cannot jeopardize by running off with the first girl that you meet in the woods. I'm not jeopardizing anything, he said with a playful grin. I plan on fulfilling everything that's on my destiny to-do list. I'm going to pull the sword from the stone. I'm going to start Camelot. I'm going to form the Knights of the Round Table. I'm going to find the Holy Grail. And once I'm done, I'm going to find you. And you won't have an excuse to keep us apart anymore. Arthur, I might not even be around by the time you do all that, she said quietly. Of course you'll be around, Arthur said with a laugh. I've been training twice as hard with Merlin and Mother Goose so that I can finish much faster than the legend predicts. It may take another King Arthur a few decades to complete his legacy, but I know it'll only take me a couple of years because I've got you to inspire me. Arthur's devotion brought tears to Alex's eyes, but not in a good way. No, she said, and she shook her head. Even if you finish it earlier than expected, you have to stay in Camelot. You cannot throw her life away for me. You can't throw your life away if it's already fulfilled. You're not listening. I'm trying to tell you it's going to be a complete waste. You rush through your legacy, you might get hurt. On the contrary, I'll be even more careful knowing that you're at the finish line. Arthur, I'm trying to tell you that I won't be alive for much longer. Once this heavy confession was made, Alex covered her face and began to sob. Her words made Arthur freeze where he stood, and he prayed she was being sarcastic or overreacting, but if the tears streaming down her face were any indication, Alex was telling the truth. Alex, please tell me that's a joke, he said. I wish it were, she cried. I would love to live happily ever after with you, Arthur, but it is not meant to be. But why? Are you sick? I've been cursed by a very powerful witch. She has taken me under a spell that controls me every waking moment. So far, she's made me do a lot of terrible things to very innocent people. I don't know what she has planned next, but I know that something horrible is coming and thousands of people are going to get hurt. The witch puts me to sleep when she isn't using me. That's why I was trying to contact my brother through my dreams. He's got to find a way to stop me, no matter what it takes. Alex, don't be ridiculous, Arthur said. There's got to be another way to free you from the witch's curse besides killing you. I'm afraid there isn't, she said. This curse is unlike any dark magic I've ever seen or heard of. It fills me with anger. It blinds me. I'm barely aware of the damage I'm causing. I get trapped in my head with feelings of self-doubt, self-hatred, and regret, and all I can think about are my mistakes, my flaws, and how undeserving I am of love and happiness. The more my misery grows, the more powerful I become, and the more powerful I become, the stronger the curse gets, and the voices in my head have to be stopped, and there's only one way to put a creature out of its misery. Arthur couldn't believe that he was hearing such things. Their shared dream quickly escalated into a nightmare. I refuse to believe that, he said. There must be something that Merlin and Mother Goose can do to help you. There must be something I can do to save you. A thick layer of mist suddenly rose off the lake and blew toward them. The mist formed the shape of a large hand and wrapped its fingers around Alex's body and started to pull her toward the lake. What is happening? Arthur shouted. The witch must be waking me up, Alex said, and Arthur grabbed Alex's arms, but he was no match for the giant mist hand. Alex, you need to listen to me, he said. We're going to save you from this. We're going to find you. We're going to free you from this curse, I promise. You just have to stay strong. Do not give up yet. Alex stared up at Arthur with eyes full of tears and fears and very little hope. Goodbye, Arthur. Alex was pulled from Arthur's grip and dragged underwater, and then she disappeared from sight. Alex! And then Arthur rapidly woke up from a nightmare. He was sweating profusely. His eyes darted around his room as he remembered where he was. His heart was beating so hard that he could hear it over the sound of Merlin and Mother Goose snoring in the next room. Arthur had never been so affected by a dream in his life, so he knew that this had not been a normal dream. Alex was in trouble, and she actually needed help.
Yeah.
The squire leapt out of his bed and stormed into Merlin and Mother Goose's room. The elders awoke in a terrible fright and sat straight up like they had been electrocuted.
Yeah.
"Arthur, my boy, what is it?" Merlin asked, and he searched for his glasses. "Where's the fire?" Mother Goose said as she reached for her flask. "Forgive the intrusion, but something terrible has happened," Arthur said. "Have the Saxons invaded?" Merlin asked. "The parachute pants coming back into style?" Mother Goose asked. "No," Arthur said. "It's Alex. She's been cursed by a terrible witch. We need to go to the other wood immediately and rescue her." "How do you know all this?" the wizard asked. "Alex and I were communicating with each other in our sleep. She was trying to contact her brother but found me instead, and she told me that she's been cursed and she's being forced to do terrible things. The hand of Miss rose out of the lake and dragged her under the surface." Arthur explained himself so quickly that he had to catch his breath afterward. Merlin and Mother Goose looked at each other with sleepy and uneasy eyes, but they weren't concerned about Alex. "Addie, have you been drinking my bubbly?" Mother Goose asked. "No, you have to listen to me," he pleaded. "Alex is in trouble, and she thinks the only way to stop the curse is if someone kills her, so we've got to do something before she gets hurt." "It sounds like you just had a terrible nightmare," Merlin said. "No, it wasn't a nightmare. Well, it was a nightmare, but it was the real Alex," Arthur said. "I swear, I am not overreacting." His elders still weren't convinced. "It's not uncommon for dreams to feel very realistic when they're about people that we love," the wizard said. "Why don't you fetch my dream dictionary and we can get to the bottom of what Alex actually represents in your dream?" Arthur grunted loudly and paced in a circle. No matter what he said, Merlin and Mother Goose only saw him as a love-struck teenager. Arthur desperately needed their trust, but they would never take him seriously unless he proved himself trustworthy. A transformation was needed to gain their respect, and luckily, Arthur knew just the thing to do. The squire raced out of Merlin's cottage and ran into the woods. It was raining and still dark outside, but Arthur persisted. He wasn't wearing any shoes and was barely clothed, but he was numb to everything except his fiery determination. Finally, he arrived at his destination and entered the clearing where the great sword lay in the stone. Arthur was destined to remove the sword once his training was complete, and he was ready to be crowned king. But given the circumstances, he hoped his desire to save Alex would somehow expedite his destiny. Arthur might not have been in any danger, but if Alex was in trouble, then his whole world was at stake. The young squire wrapped his hands around the sword's handle and pulled on it with all his might. His fingernails bled, and blisters covered his palm, but Arthur kept pulling, as if his life depended on it. So sad. It's so sad, honey. It's so sad. Yeah, poor Arthur. Oh, thank you.
She's been telling her own story today.
Of course, she's the greatest of storytellers. Let's see how long this next chapter is, because we're still early. Jeez. Kind of a long one, but we can get some of it, right? Yeah, Baby Book Club for sure. Chapter 5 is called Turbulence Ahead. Ruh-roh! Is Boo building a stack of animals? Stacking animals are fun, huh? Whoop! Goodbye, goat. Can you get your tape off? Can you get the tape off? Wow, almost there. Almost there. You can do it, right? She has a live audience, of course, yeah. All right, chapter 5, Turbulence Ahead. Dun, dun, dun. You want to boop Mommy's nose before she reads? You want to boop Mommy's nose? Where's Mommy's nose? Can you find it? There's your nose. Boop. Boop, boop, boop. Oh, you see Mommy's glasses. Oh, no. Sorry, glasses are for Mommy. You don't need glasses, honey. I hope you get Mommy's eyes so you don't need glasses till you're an old lady. That tooth is really coming in. She's so silly looking right now because she has these two bottom teeth and just one top tooth. So this one's not there, so it's just 2 and 1. It's very silly. It's very silly. As soon as Connor had an inkling of his sister's whereabouts, he rushed to the nearest computer and bought the 5 remaining tickets on the next flight to New York City. He used Bob's credit card without asking, but Bob could care less. Sorry, Bob couldn't care less. That's the correct use of that phrase. Couldn't care less. All that matters was that finding Alex and bringing her home. Liberating the fairy tale world would have to wait until they figured out what was happening in Manhattan. At 5 o'clock the next morning, without any sleep whatsoever, Connor, Bree, Jack, Goldilocks, Red, and Charlotte piled into Charlotte's SUV and headed toward Willow Crest International Airport. Connor had no idea what to expect when they got to New York City, but he knew that it would be easier to handle with his friends at his side. They left the hospital in such a hurry that no one had the chance to pack, but knowing what his friends usually carried on their persons, Connor managed to grab a duffel bag before they left the hospital so that Jack and Goldilocks' more questionable belongings could be stowed. When they arrived, Connor ran into the airport and checked their bags while his friends waited outside. They stood on the curb by Charlotte's car and took in the sights of the other world beyond the halls of St. Andrew's Children's Hospital. "So this is what they call an airport," Jack said as he cradled Hero. "What exactly is a port of air?" "It's where you board planes and they take you to other locations," Bree explained. "Like a stable?" Goldilocks asked. "Yeah, but with much bigger horses." Jack and Goldilocks nodded as they looked around in awe, but Red wasn't as impressed. "It's rather colorless here in the other world, isn't it?" she remarked. "If you ask me, the whole gray and glass thing is like a bit overdone." And as soon as he finished inside, Connor emerged through the airport's automatic doors and joined his friends at the curb. "Okay, the bag's been checked under my name," he said. "It's completely legal to travel with a sword and axe as long as they're checked, because I guess that's America for you." "What is checked?" Jack asked. It just means that they're going to store our luggage under the plane before we leave, and when we arrive, it'll come out on a conveyor belt in the baggage claim. Connor's friends from the fairy tale world just stared at him like he was speaking in tongues. "We have absolutely no idea what any of that means, but we're going to take your word for it," Goldilocks said. "Okay, does everyone have their tickets and their IDs?" Connor asked the group. Bree, Jack, Goldilocks, and Red all held up the tickets printed at the hospital and the identification cards that they had been assigned. Unfortunately, traveling with friends from another dimension meant that airport security was going to be a challenge. If they'd had more time, Connor could have come up with better IDs that resembled his friends more, but given the time crunch, they had to work with what they had. "Isn't someone going to notice that they are our actual identities?" Jack asked. "Look, I'm praying that the TSA officers won't notice," Connor said. "We're going to get into serious trouble if anyone catches on, so if they ask, Jack is Dr. Robert Gordon, Goldilocks is Charlotte Gordon, Red is Bree's cousin, Amanda Campbell." "Bree, would you happen to have a more attractive relative that I could impersonate, please?" Red asked. "Sorry, Amanda's all I've got," Bree said. "Her ID's gotten me into a dozen concerts that I was too young for, so I'm hoping it brings you the same luck." Connor nervously eyed the airport. "We're going to need more than luck to pull this off," he said. "Connor, this is too risky," Charlotte said from inside the car. "Why don't Bob and I just come with you?" "I need you guys to keep an eye on the characters from my story," he said. "Besides, the 5 of us have a long history of magical dilemmas. We'll know what to do." "What's the matter?" "Oh, you're totally fine. You want to say hi to Auntie Mabel? Say hi, Mabel."
So we tried to FaceTime.
Oh.
Auntie Mabel came out to...
Oh. "We'll know what to do if things get out of hand, and we'll call you if we need backup." Charlotte closed her eyes and let out a long sigh. She knew that Connor and his friends were more than capable of handling themselves, but it didn't make it any easier knowing that her son might be walking into danger. "Please be safe," she said, "and if you find your sister, let us know as soon as possible." "Yeah, we will," Connor said. "I promise." Connor hugged his mother through the car window and let his friends into the airport. At first glance, Jack, Goldilocks, and Red were completely overwhelmed. Travelers brushed and bumped into them from all directions. Everywhere they looked was another flashing screen that displayed departure times and announced delays. The commotion was too much for Hero, and he began to fuss. "Here, give him to me," Goldilocks said and took the newborn from Jack. "No, there's no need to cry. Who's Mama's good boy? Who's Mama's good boy?" She turned around as soon as I used the mommy voice, huh? Yeah, that's Goldilocks' mommy voice. "Who's my angel?" "Who's my angel? Yeah. Are you my angel?" You know the mommy's talking to you voice, huh? That's very cute. She was like, "I don't need to look when you're reading, but if you're using your mommy's talking to me voice, wow." It tickled everyone to watch Goldilocks interact with her son. Ever since Hero had been born, Goldilocks had been a different person altogether. The infamous fugitive and swashbuckling swordswoman was now the queen of baby talk and changing diapers at record-breaking speed. However, motherhood hadn't softened Goldilocks one bit. No, on the contrary. Being a mother had made her tougher than ever, especially when someone came between her and her child. Goldie, are you sure that taking Hero to New York is like a good idea? Red asked, because like babies need a lot of attention, you know? We're still taking you with us, aren't we? Goldilocks snapped, and Red raised her hands defensively. Oh my god, I'm just suggesting that you leave him with Charlotte while we're gone. Caring for an infant and searching for a friend is quite a handful. No, absolutely not, Goldilocks said. I refuse to be one of those women who put her life on hold because she's a mother. I'm more than capable of fulfilling my responsibilities to my child without abandoning my friends. Sorry I asked, Red said. Personally, I would have hired a nanny before purchasing a cradle, but that's just me. Connor guided his friends through the crowded airport to the long security line. He stood on his toes to see over their heads and took a good long look at the TSA officer working the front. The officer was an old man who scowled at the travelers as if a piece of sour candy was stuck in his mouth. He thoroughly checked every person's ID and ticket before letting them pass. Nah, not this guy. He's really good at his job, Connor bemoaned. Bree and I would be fine with our student IDs, but I don't know how to sneak you guys past him. It would be so much easier if Alex were here. She could just zap him with her magic spell and it would all be done. All right, well, looks like we're going to have to zap him with a bit of your magic instead, huh? Jack said. Connor sighed. Jack, well, I do appreciate the sentiment. This is not the time for another pep talk. No, I'm being serious. We don't have your sister's talent, so we're going to have to use yours. Imagine this is one of your stories, and your character's in this exact predicament. What would you do or tell them to get past the officer? Connor scratched his chin, and he walked in a circle as he thought about it. He appreciated the encouragement, but the consequences of failure were much more severe than his friends could imagine. It took creativity just to survive the other world, but he would need a stroke of genius to manipulate this situation. All right, I've got an idea, he said. Look, if the officer notices that your IDs are fake, you need to distract him. Say something completely unexpected that'll make him forget what he's thinking about. Oh, I know, Red said. I'll say that I'm a queen in another dimension. Yeah, no, that's only gonna make things worse, Connor said. I've got a line for each of you, but you have to say it exactly as I tell it to you. He whispered the diversions into his friend's ears and hoped it would do the trick. We should stand in line together, Bree said. If he notices the IDs are fake, it'll look less suspicious if we're spaced out. Oh, sorry, we shouldn't stand in line together. Yeah, great idea. Great idea, Connor said. All right, here goes nothing. Connor and Bree entered the line first. Once 5 passengers had lined up behind them, Jack followed, and then Goldilocks waited for 6 passengers to line up behind her husband to join in line with Hero. Red was a little confused about how a line worked, so she let over a dozen people cut in front of her before realizing she was supposed to wait behind them and follow up to the officer. Finally, after 40 very anxious minutes, Connor and Bree reached the front and presented their ticket and identification to the TSA officer. He reached down to their boarding passes and looked them up and down with the same scowl he'd been wearing all morning. You two together? He asked. What? Connor asked in shock. No, we're just friends. I mean, I think we are. We haven't even had the chance to figure it out. Sir, I'm just asking if you're traveling together, the officer said and scowled even harder. The airline isn't concerned about your relationship status. Wait, what's wrong, baby? Hey, Angel. What's wrong? Can you get this tape off? Tape? Can you get it off? Look, sweetheart. Angel face. Sweet pea. I think she wants you to pick her up. Yeah, she's looking at you like, you want Auntie Mabel to give you up? Can you say up? Up. You don't want up? You want Mommy to pick you up? No, you're looking at Auntie Mabel. You gotta make up your mind. Who do you want? Auntie Mabel? Okay, try it. See what happens. Do you want Milkies? Do you want milk? Oh, the Milky's in the fridge. Maybe Auntie Mabel will give you Milkies. Auntie Mabel would love to give you Milkies. It is her dream to feed you, my child. Auntie Mabel wants nothing more on this day than to give you Milkies. You don't want Milkies. Okay, we tried. No Milkies? Do you want a cracker? There's an open cracker right here on the other side of the changing table.
Ooh, I fell asleep.
Your leg fell asleep? That does happen when you sit on the floor like that.
Do you want this cracker?
This?
Maybe. Grayson, pretend you're gonna eat it. Did that work? No.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it did. Hey, we got it. All you have to do is pretend you're gonna eat the food, and then she eats it. It is the last day. Yes, this is. She's yes. The Sloth said she's giving you auntie challenges for the last day.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that is a sweet moment. You love your auntie Mabel, huh? Sir, I'm asking if you're traveling together, the officer said with a scowl. The airline is not concerned with your relationship status. Connor blushed so hard that he was afraid his cheeks would melt right off his face. Obviously, his anxiety was getting the best of him. If Bree hadn't been equally anxious, she would have busted up laughing. Yeah, we're traveling together, she said, and the TSA officer looked them up and down one last time and initialed their tickets. Go ahead, he said. Next. Connor and Bree walked past the officer and joined the smaller line for the metal detector. They took their time putting their shoes and belts into the bins so that they could keep an eye on their friends. And after a few moments, Jack was next in line and he handed his ticket and his identification to the TSA officer. Good morning, Jack said cheerfully. I'm going to New York. The TSA officer read Jack's documents before looking at him, and as the officer's gaze moved upward, Jack repeated Connor's suggested line before the officer could notice that the ID wasn't legitimate. Hair plugs, Jack announced. Excuse me? The officer asked. Hair plugs, Jack repeated. I'm sure you're wondering how I got my hair back. I see you're follically challenged yourself, and I'm happy to pass along my doctor's information if you're interested in getting plugs. He's technically not a real doctor, but he works out of Chinatown. As you can see, he does wonders. The TSA officer was so offended that his mouth fell open. He shook his head as he initialed Jack's ticket and he handed the documents back to Jack without giving the ID a second glance. I am not interested in hair plugs, the officer growled. Get out of here. Suit yourself, Jack said. What's wrong, my angel? Nom, 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 nom. It's hard. Yeah, it's difficult, right? We're having struggles this morning with our TFEs. Oh, that's so good. You did great. Connor and Bree were relieved when Jack joined them in line for the metal detector, but they knew their mission was far from over. Before they knew it, Goldilocks and Hero stepped into the TSA officer's stand, and the officer looked back and forth between Goldilocks and Charlotte's IDs, meticulously studying both faces. Ma'am, have you recently lost weight? He asked. Obviously, Goldilocks said, and she nodded to Hero. The TSA officer wasn't convinced. He knew something was different, he just couldn't put his finger on it. Did you also change your facial structure? He pressed further, and Goldilocks glared at him with a scowl that rivaled his own. You would be amazed how much a body can change after giving birth. Should I give you all the details? The TSA officer shook his head like he was going to be sick. He quickly initialed the ticket before she had a chance to elaborate. Have a nice flight, he said without looking Goldilocks in the eye. And with Connor, Bree, Jack, and Goldilocks successfully passed the officer, the only one left was Red. They tried to stay close in case they needed to intervene, but they were headed toward the metal detector by the other TSA officers, and soon they were out of earshot and prayed that Red could handle herself. Red sauntered up to the TSA officer and presented her ticket and Amanda Campbell's ID with a large smile. The officer scanned the document and initialed her ticket and handed it back without a problem. Connor was shocked that it had gone so smoothly, but then the officer said something that absolutely infuriated Red. She stomped her foot and pointed at him dramatically. How dare you, sir? She yelled loudly enough for the whole airport to hear. That is the biggest insult that I have ever received in my entire life. The officer's scowl shifted to a look of terror. Red stormed past him and joined her friends at the metal detector. What the heck just happened? Connor asked. What did he even say to you? Red held up the ID of Amanda Campbell. He said that this was a good picture of me. She grumbled, and the metal detector was a foreign concept to Connor's friends, so it required a great deal of supervision and reassurance. Connor had to promise Jack that he would get his boots back after they were scanned. Bree had to stop Goldilocks from putting Hero into one of the bins, and Red had to be scanned by hand because she refused to part with her jewelry. But once they went through the detector and gathered their things, they had officially snuck through airport security. Someone is having too much fun playing with her aunties. She's playing the what if I drop this and you just keep picking it up for me game. Are you doing that to them? Do you want to go in your playpen? Do you want to go in the playpen? What do you think?
We can go in the play.
Yeah. It's your last day with your aunties, otherwise mommy would go in there with you, but you probably want to spend as much time as you can with them.
Oh, you're fine. It's delicious. It's delicious.
There we go.
That was your niece's favorite game last night? Yeah. This is Mabel and Grayson's niece's favorite game this morning and last night and every day. I can't believe we just pulled that off, Connor said. I don't think that I've breathed since we joined the security line. I was worried for a second, Jack said. But then again, I have a lot more faith in you than you do. They turned a corner and Jack, Goldilocks, and Red froze. The sight of all the stores, coffee shops, bars, and restaurants through the terminal was almost too much for them to bear. Oh my God, it's like a little kingdom, Red said. What is that heavenly aroma? Goldilocks asked. That's called coffee, Bree said. It's a really big deal here in the other world. That place with all the moving pictures of men on grassy fields? Jack asked. What is it? That's called a sports bar, Connor informed. It's a place where people go to watch other people play games. What about that shiny room with all the bottles and portraits of beautiful but very bored women? Red asked. That's a perfume store, Bree said. Red was amazed that such a place even existed. Oh my God, they let commoners wear perfume in this world? Oh, I've got to see this. The young queen dashed for the perfume store before Bree could grab her. Since they had some time to kill before they boarded their flight, Connor thought it was perfectly fine to let his friends explore the other world's amenities in the airport. He took Goldilocks to the coffee shop and ordered her a vanilla latte, and while Goldilocks enjoyed her latte, Connor took Jack to the sports bar. He did his best to describe the rules of football and baseball being broadcast, but Jack was convinced that he was making it up as he went along. Bree had the exhausting task of supervising Red as she bounced from shop to shop. It was like watching a hyper toddler in a toy store. At 6:30, 15 minutes before boarding, the gang regrouped at gate 26 and took their seats. Red proudly showed off all the purchases in her enormous shopping bag. I must say, what this world lacks in color, it sure makes up for in merchandise. I found this exquisite leather bag from an animal called Faux. And I got this delicious bottle of perfume called Febreze. And I got this handy mirror with a little electric torch around the frame. And lastly, I couldn't walk away from this colorful pamphlet called Glamorous Magazine. Look, it has like articles inside titled How to Steal Your Man Back from His Ex. Oh my God, I hope it mentions something about magic mirrors. How did you pay for all this? Connor asked. Pay? Red said as if that were a word from another language. She didn't. I did, Bree said. She would have gotten arrested for shoplifting if I hadn't had my emergency credit card on me. It's maxed out now, so the next emergency's on someone else. Don't worry, I got gifts for all of you, Red announced. Connor, I got you this shirt that says, I do my own stunts. Classy, right? Jack, I got you the world's greatest grandfather hat. I'm sorry, they were all out of father. I got this adorable stuffed frog in a suit for Hero, so he'll always know what his Uncle Charlie looks like. And Goldilocks, I got you this convenient little contraption called a baby Bjorn. Why carry your child when you can just wear him? Don't use baby Bjorn carriers. Now I'm officially mad at Chris. Baby Bjorn? Really, Chris? Ugh. Hey, Ray. Ray, you just missed Red gifting a baby Bjorn carrier to Goldilocks, which we would never put you in a baby Bjorn. Your hips are going to be healthy. Yeah. We don't do baby Bjorn in this household. No.
Just a head nod,
Oh,
yes.
speaking of, do better, Red. That's right. We say that often to Red. Maybe because of course, Sloth. He definitely used it because it's a known brand. While I'm talking to you all, if any of you guys are actually looking for a baby carrier, there's a flash sale going on for Small Business Saturday on Hope and Plum right now. And their carriers are actually like the cheapest I've ever seen them. I obviously don't need one, so I'm not doing it, but they have 2 of their styles that are on sale for like a bajillion dollars off. And I was like, holy crap, I wish I knew someone that I could gift one to for Christmas because like, man, they are a good price right now. I don't know anyone who needs one, so I didn't, but like, if I did, I'd be buying it right now. I think the sale only goes for like 1 more hour because it's like a flash sale or whatever, so go forth and buy yourself a Hope and Plum.
This man.
Thanks, Red. That's so kind of you. Your thoughtfulness always surprises me. I think the kid larks are included, Susan. Yeah. And it's the rouge color, that red color that I have the ring sling in. It's beautiful. And then they also have the one with the snakes, Venom. That one's also on sale. I think they're trying to clean out the holiday patterns. I mean, holiday, whatever, red can be any time of year. But I think they're trying to clean those out because I don't know if you guys know this, but they're planning to come out with a newborn carrier in February. So they're probably trying to make space in their warehouse for like all the new stock for all the patterns of the newborn carrier. So there you go. For whatever reason, Goldilocks was speaking much faster than she usually did, and her left eye started to twitch. Good heavens, Goldie, what even happened to you? Red asked. It's called caffeine, Goldilocks said. I had a latte, a vanilla latte to be exact. It's a brilliant beverage. I was so tired a few moments ago, and now I feel invincible. I could fight a whole army with my bare hands. Actually, I'm going to go get some more of it. Jack placed a hand on his wife's shoulder. Sweetheart, maybe it's time to take it easy on the caffeine. People are starting to stare at us. Attention all passengers on Flight 219 to JFK International Airport. It is now time to board the aircraft, the voice said over the intercom. Please line up with your boarding passes readily available. Connor, his friends, and all the other passengers formed a line at the gate. They had their tickets, they scanned, and then they proceeded down the long jetway and boarded the plane. Their flight was filled with business people, families on vacations, and a troop of Boy Scouts. Follow me, and I'll show you to our seats, Connor instructed. We're in the back because we booked our tickets so late. Bree and I are in seats 38A and 38B. Jack and Goldilocks are behind us in 39A and 39B, and Red is in 48. Wait a second, where is Red? Connor searched the cabin, and Red was nowhere to be found. The corner of her new purse caught his eye, and he saw that she had seated herself in the first-class cabin. He tried waving to her for attention, but Red was already enjoying a moist towel and reading her copy of Glamorous magazine. Ma'am, is this your seat? The flight attendant asked her. No, but it'll do just fine, thank you, Red said and went back to her magazine. The flight attendant pulled the boarding pass out of Red's hand and read her seat number. I'm sorry, this cabin is reserved for first class only. You're going to need to move to your assigned seat. Assigned? Red asked like she had never heard the word before. Which seat is that? The flight attendant pointed to the back of the plane where Red's friends were. I'm sorry, I'm supposed to sit back there? She said in disbelief. I thought those were for the elves. No human being can feasibly fit into such a small space. Welcome to commercial travel, the flight attendant said. Now either you move to your seat or I'll have to escort you off of the plane. Red gave the flight attendant an impressively dirty look. As the young queen walked through the economy cabin, she held her nose like she was walking through a field of manure. She squeezed into seat 40A behind Jack and Goldilocks. Luckily, no one was sitting in 40B beside her because her dress took up both seats. Are you eating your cracker? Is that so yummy? You want to feed mommy some? Nom, 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 nom. Thank you for sharing with me, my angel. I appreciate your sharing spirit. That's so nice of you. As the last passengers boarded the aircraft, the constant slamming of the overhead bins started to hurt Hero's ears. The infant began to cry, and everyone in the cabin glared at Jack and Goldilocks. Everyone is looking at us like we've personally offended them, Jack remarked. That's because you brought a baby on the plane, Bree said. They're worried he's going to cry the whole way to New York. Goldilocks, however, was not going to put up with this. She passed Hero to Jack and she stood in the aisle where all the passengers could see her. Now just wait a hickory-dickory second, she called out. I don't care if you have to listen to my baby cry. 8 days ago I experienced the worst pain humanly possible by pushing him out of my body. It's something all mothers must endure for the survival of our species. It's natural, it's brave, it's beautiful, and it is not going to be disrespected. Now I suggest all of you wipe those foul looks off your faces or you'll be the ones crying all the way to New York. I would listen to my wife if I were you, Jack added. She's on caffeine. All the passengers quickly diverted their gazes elsewhere, and Bree started a round of applause for Goldilocks, but no one joined in. Once his friends had stopped causing problems and settled into their seats, Connor was able to take his first deep breath of the day. He looked around the plane and saw a Boy Scout sitting across the aisle. He was cute and chubby and obviously took the Boy Scouts very seriously because his uniform was covered in pins and badges. The boy eagerly stared down at the map of New York City and was so giddy that he could barely sit still. Hi, the scout said when he noticed Connor. My name's Oliver. What's yours? Connor. Are you excited about going to New York City? I've never been so excited in my life, Oliver exclaimed. This is actually my first time on a plane. New experiences don't make me nervous, though. This badge is for bravery. Are you going to do anything special in New York? Connor asked. I'm going out for the Big Boy and Girl Scouts of America camp out. Oliver said happily. This year, they're having it tonight in Central Park. Normally, the city doesn't allow campers in the park, but they're making an exception for us. My family doesn't have much money, so I had to sell 1,000 pounds of popcorn to pay for this trip. I sold more than any other scout in the Western region. That's what this badge is for. Congratulations, Connor said. That's a lot of popcorn. How about you? What are you going to New York City for? I'm visiting family, or at least I hope I am. It's kind of a surprise trip. Neat, Oliver said. Well, it's been nice talking to you, but I better get back to my map. I'm trying to memorize it before we land. I'm really good at navigation. That's what this badge is for. Good luck then, Connor said. Have fun camping. The Boy Scout smiled so hard that dimples appeared on his cheeks. He looked back down and became lost in his map of New York City once again. Oliver's excitement reminded Connor of Alex in their first trip to the fairy tale world. He remembered how she'd hogged the map of the kingdoms and how they'd fought over directions. The memory made Connor smile for the first time all week, but it was odd to think of a time when the land of stories didn't feel like home. Ladies and gentlemen, please lend us your eyes and ears as we go over the safety demonstration, a voice said from the loudspeaker. The flight attendant stood in the aisles and gave instructions on how to buckle the seatbelts and wear safety vests and pointed to the emergency exits. A cartoon showed the passengers how to properly put on oxygen masks and evacuate the plane in event of an emergency. By the time the safety demonstration was done, the plane had departed and the gate was cruising toward the runway. Red reached over Jack and Goldilocks' seats and tapped Bree and Connor on the shoulders. Sorry, those yellow vests were so ugly that I totally zoned out, she said. Could you repeat the last bit about, the cabin pressure and the water landing? If the cabin loses oxygen, masks will drop down from the ceiling so that we can breathe, Bree filled her in. And in the event of a water landing, the bottom of the plane will turn into a flotation device. That is absurd, Red said. Why would we end up in the water? Can't the driver just steer around the water? And suddenly the plane rocketed toward the runway and forced Red into her seat as she screamed. Oh my god, what is happening? She shouted. Relax, Bree. We're just taking off. Taking off what? Into the air. Bree thought this was obvious, but judging from the horrified look on Red's face, it was not obvious. Oh my god, this thing goes into the air? She said in a panic. Yeah, that's why it's called a flight. I wish someone had shared that minor detail before we boarded. Oh my god, is it too late for me to get off? Yes, the whole cabin said in unison. And as the jet launched into the air, Connor quickly closed his eyes and the subtle movements of the plane quickly rocked him to sleep. Unfortunately, it was not a peaceful rest. Connor saw flashes of his sister in his dreams. Hi, Sweet Pea. He couldn't understand her completely, but she was desperately trying to communicate with him. She was trying to warn him that something terrible was going to happen and he needed to stop it before all was lost. He asked her to repeat herself, but it became harder and harder to hear her, as if it was a dying strobe light illuminating them. Connor could see less and less of her. A dark and smoky cloud wrapped around Alex, and it pulled her away from him like a giant hand. She was screaming, but there was nothing that he could do to help. Alex? Connor cried and he awoke with a jolt. Hey, are you okay? Bree asked him. Sorry, bad dream. How long was I out for? For about an hour. You've been twitching since takeoff, but I didn't have the heart to wake you up. I can't imagine how exhausted you are. Oh, my baby. All right, it's 9:30. Hi, baby. You want to go to the farmer's market and get some foodies? You want to go get some foodies at the farmer's market? Yeah? Yeah? You say, yeah. We'll read the rest of the chapter on Monday. It's a really long one, and she needs foodies, huh? Yeah. Is that my angel? Do you want to say mama? No, you just want to laugh? On the edge laugh?